Hi, everybody. It's Linda G. and Sterling.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Happy Mother's Day to
Mother's
everybody.
Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Linda. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. A lot of wonderful women out there make the world a better place. Absolutely.
Definitely. And to those mothers that have crossed, their souls are in a good place. So, okay, my friend, you wanted to just do a little bit of housekeeping.
Yeah, just real quickly, wanted to mention again that on my channel, I'm almost at 16,000 subscribers. So when we reach 16,000 on my channel, we'll be giving away a free half-hour session with myself and a free half-hour session with Linda. Absolutely. So both of us. And that to get included in the contest, you just have to comment on my shows on my channel. Start off with the word love and make sure you're a subscriber. And then we'll randomly pick the winner for the read with myself and Linda when I hit 16,000. So
all right,
that's the first item that I wanted to mention. And also want to give a shout out, a very nice shout out to Andrew, who does the timestamps for everybody on these shows, aligned with the questions, and also Hyperledger that does all the timestamps on my shows on my channel. So thanks very much for those individuals. It's a lot of work and really appreciate the effort. And I think it helps everybody. So
yeah, thank you to Andrew who does it for my channel when you're on. But okay, and we have questions, and thanks to Dan and Linda for assisting with the questions to pick out of. Okay, from the other side, does Jacques Cousteau have a message for us?
He does. And, this is kind of a multifaceted message that I got from him. This was yesterday. But, he wanted us to know that he really feels like the oceans are dying. The oceans are really, in kind of a bad state of affairs. And that as much as we take, our environment and Earth seriously, that we got to start taking the oceans much more seriously, kind of concerned about the contamination coming in various areas, whether it's Fukushima power plant in Japan and whatnot. He also mentioned that, his sons were doing a great job in kind of leading his vision going forward. And that the other thing was, that was kind of interesting, I had an interesting discussion with him about extraterrestrials. So he said during his travels that he actually witnessed many times UFOs and, aircraft that you couldn't explain going in and out of the oceans.
Yep.
But he was asked by world governments not to say anything. So now, and I just got a cold chill, this is kind of around, that now his sons, his foundation, are actually going to be helping out in those areas, like, researching, make some discoveries around extraterrestrials. We all know they're here now, but his foundation's actually going to support some of those efforts. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
That's great.
The last thing he told me, I was just remembering, was that we're actually one of the cures for cancer we're going to find is going to come from like seaweed or sea plankton or something in the ocean. So there's like a cure for cancer coming that I feel he's done some early research on the benefits of sea plankton or seaweed or something here, but cure for cancer. You want me to highlight that over the next few years here.
Cool. Okay, will the Republican Party split apart?
Yeah, I do see a really concerted effort by more moderate Republicans to start a new party, and but they're going to have, in the end, what's going to happen is the more moderate party is going to take over the larger Republican Party. So there's a bit of a split, and then there's it's going to kind of come back again, more of a moderate platform. So the split, what it does is it kind of takes the more radical side of the party and weakens it, and then it ends up coming back around. So there's a bit of, it's almost like watching cells divide and come back together. That will, yeah.
Awesome.
That's what I get.
Well, that they just came out on, we were just talking about it. One of the new Washington Post or New York or something. Apparently Trump's numbers are even worse than when he ran the last time. People are falling away, but they're not telling them. They said at the Republican convention, they hid that. Like it was a nothing burger. So his numbers are dropping.
They are.
Will it come out that Rudy and 45 are blackmailing Republicans to force them to be loyal?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's good for everybody is there's going to be a landslide of information coming from Rudy's laptops and from his iCloud storage. So we're going to see a landslide of information. There's a lot of paper trail there that is going to be a gift to everybody. So
Awesome.
all that's going to come out.
Sweet talker. Will Liz Cheney run for and be elected president?
And I assume they're talking about president of the United States.
Yeah.
I see her trying to make a run for it. I do, but I don't see it being a successful run. So I see her making her way through the ranks and trying to become a candidate, but does not look like ends up in the White House. No, to me.
Why do some people report that ghosts remain in the house even after being asked to leave?
Well, different types of spirit energy there. So some are, there's never a totally grounded spirit or grounded ghost. There may be a delay. Maybe they don't want to leave the environment. But then there are also prankster and trickster spirits that stay around property because they get enjoyment out of it. So I think the nature of the question is kind of depends on the spirit. There might be family energy. They want to stay around the house because they feel like it's important for the family to help them move on a bit. Then you have prankster spirits and other types of real estate, so to speak.
Okay. Can spirit assist us with physical healing?
And that was spirits with physical healing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can they help with physical healing?
Yeah, they certainly can because they can help direct energy and direct healing guidance and angels from the other side. They can help with that. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a team effort.
Anything regarding the rocket that China lost control over? Apparently it's landed.
Yeah, it landed because this question came up during the week or something, and it landed overnight. I see two things there. It's interesting. This is all over the news, the past couple of days. And Linda asked me, and what my guys told me, it was going to land in the ocean near Australia. That's what they told me the last 2 days. Now it came down the Indian Ocean, which is certainly aligned with Australia. But what I see is that this is now a tipping point for much more global reform around rockets and being more responsible, because the Chinese put the booster up there without any guidance system
Right.
to save cost and save time.
And
So
also,
what I
that's
do
not the first
see,
time they did that. Yeah. That's not the first
yeah,
time
so I
they
do
did
see
that.
now in terms of this question, yeah, more global effort around responsible rocketeering. So
Okay. How are the dead able to help the living? They are energy and do not have a physical body. Can you please explain this?
well, everything's composed of energy, even our bodies here. And so energy affects energy. And these are like basic physical principles, but it really is through the conduit of energy. You don't need a physical body to help people, much the same way you can feel spirit, even though you don't see the physical manifestation of it. So it's all energy is a simple answer, and energy affects energy. Even
Right.
two magnets with opposite poles, you put them on a table, they'll push each other apart. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And also, being in human form we're less capable unless we work with that energy. When you're in
Right.
spirit form, you're wide open.
Absolutely.
Liz Cheney's supposed replacement will be Elise Stefanik of the US House. How long will she last?
Now, my guides tell me something in the order of like 6 to 12 months. So it looks like she'll be put in place, but then there'll be somebody else that come up behind her. So within 6 to 12 months, looks like she'll get replaced.
Maybe with the midterms? That's coming up in a year. Or anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly possible. I keep getting a solid 6 to 12 months as her run. So maybe it's like within 6 months they start being unhappy with her, and it takes as long as to 12 months before she's out. Yeah.
Right. Is Puerto Rico going to suffer more earthquakes and severe hurricanes this year?
Well, I mean, yes, but none to the severity of some of the major ones they've had. Now they've had hundreds of earthquakes and lots of water events, so they're going to continue, but not to the level of devastation that some of the major ones have had, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, that makes total sense. I felt a little bit of a relief, like a little bit of a period of nothing for Puerto Rico. People ask me all the time, and I
I
look at
agree
it,
with that.
I didn't see Armageddon. Will Republican
Yeah, no, I
efforts
agree.
to crush democracy work?
And the last word was what to democracy? Sorry.
Will the Republicans' efforts to crush democracy work?
Oh, got it. No, not in the long run. They're certainly going to give it a run for the money. You know, they're throwing every bit of mud at the wall that they can in terms of voter laws and whatnot. But in the end, there's going to be enough people that are going to come back to dead center, both Republican Party and Democrats, where we're going to have rhyme and reason back in the nation again. But we got a couple of year run here where it's going to be pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also the news media grabs it. Just like this
Right.
rocket with China, they had everybody feeling Armageddon, and they're gonna run with how there's just the forefront crazies that are causing all. There's a lot of Republicans that really don't like what's going on. But I just saw the author of
Right. I
Robert
mean,
Lee and Me this morning on MSNBC. He's a white guy, and he said he always lived in the South, always thought this and that, even that the slaves liked being slaves. And he did some intense review and was shocked to learn, because McConnell says we don't need to go back in time and relive this. No, I think people need to know the truth, and it's not pretty. And Republicans are all like, we don't need that. Did you see that group of children used the N-word, and it was videotaped? They were using the N-word, and they were trying to do teaching for being, not using that kind of language and being fair to people. And they fired all the board members and brought in their white evangelists, and they said, no, we don't have to do that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of disgusting behavior going on, that's for sure. But no, I didn't see that particular news story, but yeah, a lot of terrible behavior.
Very sad. Is it possible to communicate physically with your pets? It says physically, but does it mean psychically?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's how I interpret that question.
Oh yeah, it's the word psychic. Sorry.
That's all right.
He asked why psychically. I thought it was saying.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I tell people all the time that the same communication channel that we use to talk to our angels and guides and family members across over, even pets and animals across over, that same channel can absolutely communicate with animals here on Earth. I mean, absolutely, as you develop that, it's like a skill of being a musician. And then the better you get, the more you practice. Absolutely, you can. Yeah.
Awesome. Will there be a cure for Lyme disease soon?
Yeah, actually, within just a few short years, when I was for a few short years, my guides over for like a 3 to 5 year window. But I feel like the science community is going to make some real progress and headway on Lyme disease, both being able to test for it and then to cure it. Because it's been a little evasive, elusive, but it will. They're going to make great progress on that.
Cool. Will Mitch McConnell succeed in blocking President Biden's agenda?
No, I mean, by and large, no, because, right now it's going to be, Biden has the ability to kind of do what he needs to do and get it done without the support of the other side. So, certainly McConnell is going to make things difficult, continue to, but in the end, we're going to see a lot of success around the larger bills.
Okay. Are all ETs in a higher dimension than us?
In some respects, the answer is yes to that. But one of the reasons is that all extraterrestrials, aliens, they understand the one force like we do in the universe, but they also communicate like through ESP. So there's a little bit of a higher evolution of the way they communicate. So really, it doesn't take speech. And if you run into them, a lot of times they communicate with us via ESP. So
Right,
maybe not necessarily they just language. So in that respect, it's a little bit higher evolved, but certainly not any more or less connected to love and the one force than we are. So that's the important thing. So.
right. Can learning Tai Chi or yoga help elevate your vibrations, making it easier to receive messages from spirit?
Yes, in a sense, because what it does is whenever you put your human soul and your spiritual soul kind of in better alignment, so that means you're removing uh, anger and anxiety and hostility and really try to become more focused, a more focused antenna, so to speak. Yes, I mean those things help. They clear the way for better communication. And I always kind of draw an analogy like either like a bad cell phone connection or a good cell phone connection. So even without doing that, you could still get a cell phone connection, but you might miss every other word.
Right,
So
right,
yeah.
exactly. How long is blockchain's future? What's
Oh, that's a
blockchain?
good one. That's a good one. That's a ledger technology that is being used as an encryption technology using a lot of computers and ledgers spread out between a lot of platforms to provide better encryption behind cryptocurrency. And banking institutions are going to use blockchain. Here's what's interesting. My guys are telling me that blockchain's got a couple of decade future ahead of it. But the reason that it doesn't have more than that is that supercomputers, which are coming within a few years here, you're going to be able to break the encryption of blockchain. So it's almost like technologies leapfrogging the other. You know what I mean? So I think
Right.
supercomputers will tend to make blockchain not as relevant. Yeah.
Okay. Will Eric Prince ever be brought to justice?
He will. He will. But that trial for me is a few years out, but it's on the back end of a lot of other trials around 45, and so it's almost like it's a playbook. It's going to take a few years to get to everybody, but be assured your name's in the playbook.
Okay.
You know.
Will the Southwest states run out of water and force people to move elsewhere?
What I see on that is that, like say, short term and long term. Short term, there's going to be much more efforts around conservation. So utilizing, let's say, water better, much stricter conservation. But what I also see is that new technology coming about for creating more water from the oceans. So
Right,
it's that technology. Right now, the technology hasn't been that cost effective,
right,
but I think they call it salination. I think it's called
right.
salination technology. But I do see that with a few years here, it's going to be much more economical. And so they'll utilize ocean water to complement, natural rainwater and the droughts. Yeah.
Great, great. In the last couple of years, there's a lot of racing horses dying in Southern California. What is the real cause for losing these beautiful animals?
So, what I get is that's a worldwide problem. I know whoever asked the question asked it unique to Southern California, but there's a couple things going on there. It's pushing the animals too hard. So genetically, like some horses are dispositioned, let's say be runners, others may not be genetically dispositioned. It's pushing the animals too hard. And so even what my guys are telling me is it's not virus related or something of that nature, but it's like the genetics of the animal being pushed too hard. But that's gonna get better. So there'll be better management of horses and the types of training they get and whether they're genetically disposed to racing. That's what I get.
Okay. Hey, they just announced on New York Times or Washington Post. I don't know if you heard, but the Kentucky Derby racehorse that won was full of drugs,
Wow. Okay.
enhanced drugs. So it won because they cheated. Anyway, do aliens have any type
Terrible.
of superpowers that like what we see on TV?
Well, they could certainly time travel. If you want to call that a superpower, they can time travel. They know how to get through wormholes and portals, all that. Can they throw people across the room with a wave of their hand? No. Uh, I guess the superpowers, maybe they're referring to something like the Marvel movies, right? The X-Men or something. Yeah, so they don't throw people and they don't create fire from their hands, but they can
Or
time travel.
ET when all the
So
bicycles went up in
that's a
the air.
superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just saying when ET, when all the bikes, remember they were riding their bikes and the ET helped them all fly up in the air.
Right. I
Why
do
are so
remember
many?
very well.
Yeah. Why are so many people that claim to be metaphysical / spiritual believe in Q conspiracy?
Because they're not. So it's almost an oxymoron.
There you go. That's an excellent answer. Excellent.
Maybe it's because they're not. So you can claim anything you want, but then the behavior tells the truth.
Right.
So yeah, that's an easy one. Yeah.
Are pendulums really moved by spirit?
Yes, when you work with pendulums or tarot cards or any of those tools, that's your angels and guides working through those tools. So they use it as a way to help you. Now, you want to train yourself a little bit. So you always want to, they say, calibrate a pendulum. So you make sure the way your guides are indicating yes or no or maybe.
Right.
But yes, it's your spirits and guides working through those tools. Absolutely.
And sometimes if you really want something, you'll tend to make the pendulum go the direction you want. That's why it's easier to read something you have
Right.
nothing in the game for the outcome. Will restrictive new
Right.
voter laws be overturned before the 2022 midterm election?
What I see there is a bit of a timetable. So there's half a dozen to a dozen, I think, laws already been passed on the books for, like, say, voter suppression. That's what we're referring to. And I see there's a bit of a transition because this Voting Rights Act, this large bill, will eventually get passed. But it looks to me like, I think they're asking before the 2022 election. It feels to me like that Voting Rights Act will get passed before the election.
Good.
So there's a bit of I'll call this a phase in, phase out. I think my guys always say it was like a pendulum moving back and forth. The pendulum swings one direction, then it comes back the other way.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely.
Do you see anything coming up the next week?
I do. I see Kamala Harris being a little more active around the border situation with a lot of the immigrant crisis. I see more gun control legislation being proposed. I see there's more of a pathway here to Giuliani's computer records and iCloud, talking about getting access to those records. I see 45 coming out aggressively and still trying to distance himself. For example, not paying Rudy's legal bills. He already made clear, I'm not paying his legal bills. And I think it's a matter of time before he says, Rudy who? He doesn't know who he is.
We always do that.
I see that happening. And
okay.
yeah. And I do see, I think we talked about this earlier, but I see more global discussion around the Chinese rocket and then how to prevent that going forward, that kind of misuse of space junk. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Playing lotto with other people's lives.
Yep.
Do your guys have any messages for us?
They do. And this one surprised me this week, but the fact that they use this as a topic, but they're encouraging people to get involved in healing circles, or what I call massive healing circles, because they said this is a big benefit to the earth and the planet. And they also said nothing is impossible. Well, that was an interesting message. They said get involved, and I just got a cold chill. They said get involved in massive healing circles, and nothing is impossible. So I think they're trying to direct everybody's energy towards moving very big elements in our society and our politics and our life. So, but that was interesting. That's actually the first time I've heard him say that.
That's
So,
wonderful. So is it okay to I do a YouTube live with prayers. Is that the same kind of thing you're talking about? That energy all going out?
it is. It's that's a wonderful thing you're doing. I think that's part of it. But I think they're also referring to also one that's more unison. So, here's the thing we're trying to change in life, or our lives, and everybody in unison is praying for that thing. Now, I think what you're doing in the healing circles has that effect because you announce the prayer first, and
Right.
then everybody gets behind it. So it's that they're talking to me about doing in unison around a unified intent, is what they're talking about.
Okay. Awesome. That's great. Thank you, my friend.
Sure, thank you, and happy Mother's Day again, and
Happy Mother's Day.
hope you have a wonderful day.
I am. It's going to be warm here. How's it down there?
Pretty cool,
Oh,
in temper. Yeah, it's very
who
nice.
knows? Yeah.
So,
Well, you take care. I'll see you next Sunday. And then I think we got one more week after that. No, I'll be gone a couple of weeks because of Sedona.
exactly. All right. All the
Awesome.
best.
You guys take care. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Don't forget to go like his YouTube. Like mine too, if you feel like it. Thanks.
And sterlingpsychicmedium.com if you need
Yeah.
to book a session. Yeah.
I'll have it in the box below in this
Okay.
video.
Great.
Cheers. All right.